again, folks, and welcome back to another video. So if you saw last week's video, you'll know I've got many New Year's resolutions, a few of which I have broken already, but you know, no one's perfect. One of the ones I really want to pay attention to though is the quality of games I'm adding into my collection. I always just go out and kind of buy whatever I find in the shops. You know, I'm always the opportunist, looking for the best games I can for the collection. But this year, in 2022, I really want to focus in my collection. Thus, I've formed this list, 20 in 2022. They are the 20 top games I really want to try and add to my collection this year. So these can be just games I've meant to get for ages, games that I think are going to go up in value, or games I just really have not played already and need to play. So without further ado, let's go through the 20 games I'm going to be looking for in 2022. Here we are then, folks. I present to you Dan the Games Man 20 in 2022. As you can see, there is a massive range of games here. Some retro games, some newer games, but all games that I'm saying now in January 2022 that I will own by the end of December 2022. So, wish me luck. Special shout out to all the people who come back every week and watch my videos. As you know, I record new videos every single Saturday. It really helps if you hit the like button on this video, and please remember to subscribe. It's only about 12% of you are subscribed, and I want to see you every week. Okay then, let's jump into the list. But before we do, a few ground rules. One of my New Year's resolutions was I didn't want to jump straight on eBay and buy games. For me, it's not as exciting as going out into the shops, car boots, charity shops, wherever you shop for games and finding games out in the wild. There's just no thrill of the hunt in it for me. Secondly, I don't want to pay the full price for any of these games if possible. Obviously, I could use price charting, eBay sold, something like that. But for me, the easiest way is to look at, as of today, the price on CEX's website. Obviously, this may fluctuate throughout the year, but I'm going to take the prices from today's date. So I will be putting the prices on each game as we go through them. So this week, we're going to be looking at the 20 games that have made the list of 20 in 2022. And I'll explain to you why each game has made the list. Let's get into it. The first game is an absolute 16-bit classic, and I say 16-bit as I don't mind if I either pick this game up for the Megadrive or the SNES, but I do want to get it complete in box either way. This was one of my favourite games to play back on the day on the Megadrive, and I think it kind of taught me deep down the futility of war. It's just a solid 16-bit shooter that I can't wait to add into the collection. Video games are like movies. Sometimes you just want to watch something that is a little bit trashy, and that is why Deadly Premonition has made this list. It looks like that awesome kind of 80s cheesy horror WTF-ness that I love, and I think this is a game that's going to get more and more of a cult following, so I want to add it to the collection before it gets too expensive. There are two things I love in this world. That is Jurassic Park and Resident Evil. But what if those two games came together? What would you have? You would of course have Dino Crisis. But even better than that is Dino Crisis 2. This is a game I actually remember buying on the day of release. Walking into Electronics Boutique, I think it was, in Norwich, just after Christmas, with a little bit of cash burning in my pocket and grabbing it straight off the shelves, knowing very little about it and it becoming one of my favourite games. This one has gone up in value, so definitely want to add it now rather than later. I would like to think that my GameCube collection is kind of coming to its peak now. I nearly have every game I want for the collection, but one that has eluded me for a long while is Eternal Darkness, and one that really intrigues me. You know, we've got kind of survival horror with some really deep psychological. The game messes with you. It has what appear to be glitches, but it is actually the game, and it's one I definitely want to add into the collection as the price of GameCube games just goes up and up and up. I'm sure you've realised by now that I'm a massive fan of Jurassic Park, and this game was the very first Jurassic Park game I ever owned back on the Master System that I picked up from a local car boot for about £5. It was really weird because they released games on the Mega Drive, the SNES, the Master System and the Game Gear, even the Game Boy, but they were all slightly different. But this was the OG one for me. It's not a massive value game, but one I want back in the collection. It seems that these days a lot of people try and make games that are safe and follow the tried and trusted formulas. But there are people such as Suda51 and Grasshopper Games who go against that and make games such as Killer 7. So this was also released on the PlayStation 2, but because I really want to boost my GameCube collection, I'm aiming for a complete in-box version on the GameCube. Oh, brace yourself. We have come to the first of the heavy hitters on this list with The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This is a game which the value is going up and up every year. So I'm hoping to get a boxed complete N64 version of this game, but we'll probably settle for a cartridge if it gets to the end of year and I have not added it into the collection, as this is one I really want to add, as I'm afraid to say I've never played this game. So this is definitely one of the highest value games on this list, and one that's on top of my list of games I want to play this year.
Idiots. Your stupidity may have doomed the universe.
Wouldn't be the first time, sweetheart.
This game is probably the most recently released game on this list, and actually one of the reasons I bought a Nintendo Switch in the first place, as it is an exclusive game, and Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 are some of my favourite games of all time and easily the best Marvel games they've released so far. So I definitely want to add this one into my collection, as the value of this one is getting higher and higher, as I think it was quite a limited print run, and we all know what Marvel and Disney are like with their licenses, and I want to grab this physically before it disappears forever. Metal Gear Solid is definitely one of the most iconic video games of all time, and one of the games that's actually missing from my collection. So we all know it's a classic, it needs to be in everyone's game collection. I've just been putting off getting it for a long while, so in 2022 it's made this list of 20 games, but I'm definitely looking for a complete in-box black label version. Also, let me know in the comments below, I'm sure one of the games came with a demo. Let me know if I'm correct in thinking that will be the version I want to look out for. So the PS1 had Metal Gear Solid, but the N64 had Perfect Dark. So I have actually got a loose cartridge version of this game, but I'm looking to get a complete in-box N64 version, and also an expansion pack for the N64, as I'll need that for both this and Majora's Mask. But looking back and getting footage for this game, Nintendo really did actually do this advert for a more mature audience, which when you look at the general audience for the N64 was a nice surprise, and I'm sure the teenage version of me back in the day would have really enjoyed this advert and would probably made me lean towards buying this game a lot sooner. As I said at the start of this list, there are games on this list that have big value, are getting rarer, and there are games that just have a sentimental value to me, and that is one of these in Ren and Stimpy. I just remember this being an amazing side-scrolling platform game you could play in co-op with a friend on the Megadrive. Tons of hours having a great time with this. I'm looking forward to going back and playing it again about 20 or 30 years after the time. It's hard to think now, looking back, that Resident Evil 4 was originally released on a Nintendo GameCube. And it's one of the few Resident Evil games I do not own on the GameCube. And as I'm always trying to add games into that GameCube collection, I really need to add this one this year. Once again, it's not a high value target, but it's one I definitely want in the collection. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of the next game, as I just don't want to butcher it. Basically, I have really fond memories of this. I think it was one of the very first side-scrolling kind of shoot-'em-up games that I played all the way back on the Master System, renting this for the weekend from Blockbuster of all places. I think I even played this before I played R-Type, and in my mind, this is definitely one of the best side-scrolling shoot-'em-ups I've ever played, so can't wait to add it back into the collection. The survival horror genre has always been one of my favourite genres of gaming, and other than Resident Evil, we all know the best other survival horror game series is of course Silent Hill. So I really need to go back and add the original into my collection. I have such memories of playing the demo of this game and being absolutely petrified. It gives you a fear of schools, it gives you a fear of nurses, and this is one that only gets more and more expensive over time, so I think now is the year to add it into the collection. There are very few games that have a more iconic startup than the Master System version of Sonic the Hedgehog, and this was the first time I ever played a Sonic game all the way back on the Master System. Growing up, I mainly grew up with Sega consoles, which may surprise you, so I've always had more of an affinity towards Sonic rather than Mario. But then again, I think kind of a fast hedgehog is still cooler than an Italian plumber. But there you go, this is just one of those games I've just never got round to getting a physical copy of. I'm pretty sure it's built into a lot of Master Systems, so I probably have a digital copy per se. It would be really good to add a completed box version into my Master System collection. Loadout Wars or Star Fox 64, whatever you wish to call it, will always be one of my favourite games, not only of all time, but especially on the N64. And I've been trying to find another Star Fox game to scratch the itch of wanting to play more games. The SNES one isn't really my cup of tea, and the less said about the Wii U version, the better. So I really want to add Star Fox Assault on the GameCube into my collection, just with my fingers crossed I can actually find another decent Star Fox game, until Nintendo finally decides to bring the series back into the fold.
Round 1. Fight.
When I look back and think about the PlayStation 1, I think about one thing, and that is demos. And there was no more iconic demo than that of Tekken 3. I remember putting hours into this one demo, just fighting with the two characters, and I really enjoyed the full game. I haven't got many beat 'em up games in my collection, as I'm a little bit rubbish at that kind of game, but I'm really looking forward to adding Tekken 3 in and add another iconic PS1 game to the collection.
You win.
Tonight's matchup, Detroit versus Phoenix.
So we've only got a few games left in the list, and we've actually come to our first sports game. And you may be asking yourself, Dan, why do you have a 20-something, well, way more than 20-year-old hockey game on your Games Want list? That is because this is one of the very first games released on the N64, and I'm trying to kind of build a little collection of the early games. So I'm aiming to get like a Mario 64 box, a Pilot Wings box, a Turok Dinosaur Hunter, this, and I think there's one other game. But I will have to correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong to that fact. So yeah, it's not a massive hit, but it's just be cool to have that kind of starting lineup for the N64 complete in the box.
It's a blast. Rejected. Welcome everyone to the leader in sports entertainment for over 50 years. Welcome to the new WWF generation. Welcome to In Your House We Are Live.
We have had 18 games on the list, and you thought we were going to get to the end without any wrestling games, but you forget, I am Dan the Games Man, and there will always be wrestling games on any list I make. This is the first of 2 wrestling games left on this list. Obviously WWF, these are all been in alphabetical order, and it's right at the end. This one is one I have never even played, except for a small amount in our local arcade. It just basically answers the question, what would happen if you crossed a wrestling game with Mortal Kombat? And the answer is absolute splendidness. Can't wait to add this one into the collection.
He's out of control. See ya, and I wouldn't want to be ya.
There we go then, 19 games have come, and we are on to our final game, WWF Raw for the Sega Mega Drive. As I've said many times over the year in my videos, I'm aiming for a full WWF and WWE games collection, and this is one that has so far escaped my grasp and looks to be kind of in my eyes where wrestling games started to become a bit more what they are today. You're able to leave the ring, use weapons, and the graphics are starting to get so you can actually realise who the wrestlers are. So definitely looking forward to getting this one on the Mega Drive. So there we are then, ladies and gentlemen. I give you 20 in 2022. The 20 highest value targets I'm looking for over the next 12 months. There is only 2 very simple rules. 1, I'm trying not to buy the games off eBay, and 2, I need to try and beat the CEX price. But that does not mean I will not go into CEX looking for these games, especially if I have some other games I can trade in for credit to use to put towards them to get that price even lower. So let me know in the comments down below what video games are on your top 20 looking for this year. Also, reach out to me if any of you have any of these games available either for sale or for trade. I'm sure we can make an amazing deal. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Keep in touch over the next 12 months as I try and find these 20 video games. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Dan the Games Man. Remember to like and subscribe. New videos every single Saturday. Let's keep looking for that top 20, and as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.